So creating a floor plan. In order to sort of set the stage for this conversation, I have to give you an analogy because this is how I talk about dashboards and the data environments with my clients and with my team and with my coworkers, because frankly, I find it kind of difficult to talk about data design when we're just talking about parameters and metrics, and I need to be a little bit more zoomed out and imaginative. So if you'll go with me for a second, let's imagine that we have decided that we need to build a house. The first thing that we're going to do before we build a house is we first need to figure out, where is this house going to be? Is this going to be on sand? Is it going to be in Nebraska? Is it across the globe? Is it have electricity and plumbing near it? Those are the types of things we're figuring out. So understanding, is it accessible? Is this going to be helpful for our needs? And the next step when you would be doing that, you're going to be laying a foundation, right? So it's not just like going outside and starting to throw together like brick and mortar. No, you have to figure out, okay, do we need to remove any trees? Do we need to edit this land at all? Let's maybe lay our foundation because we know that it's going to be a 3-bedroom house and it's going to have this and this and this in it. That is sort of laying the foundation. You've gotten one step closer to building your house. And then you get to visualize your end goal because now you have that foundation in place. There's material actually on the plot of land that you're going to be building this thing. And we know how many rooms there's going to be, but we just need to figure out what it's actually going to look like. What kind of material are we using? What color is it? Where is the front door? Is it a double door? Those types of things. This is sort of how I pair this with the dashboard, honestly, any design process, but it works really well for our dashboard design process. So the design process, as far as I'm concerned, is a research phase, UX phase, and a UI phase. So research, we're figuring out maybe things about our users and the needs of the organization that we're maybe implementing this data solution in. Then we're doing the UX phase, where we're figuring out how many screens are involved. How do they link together? What's the hierarchy there? What are those things called? And then we get to visualize it by putting out these mock-ups that say, like, here's the font that you're going to use, here's the size of it, and here's the text you're going to use, all of that, all the colors, period. That's the visualizing the end goal, right? So now if we can sort of go to this UX, the middle phase. So this creating a floor plan is really about the sort of the UX work, the sort of the researching, sort of putting the right things in places. And so I'm going to talk about asking the right questions, figuring out our restraints, defining a story if possible, how to get inspired, and then talk about our wireframing process. So first off, are we asking the right questions? The basics, if I were to just have an elevator ride with someone and they were like, what do you do? I'd be like, these are the things that I ask people. Who's using this dashboard primarily? What do they do it for? What answers are they actually trying to glean from their dashboard? Why does this dashboard have a name that it does? What are they trying to do? And then why do we have such advanced analytics? You know, there was some need where everything was just on paper, that it ends up in some form of Excel, and then it's floating around a bunch of computers, and then they're like, you know what, we need to get all of this together and use something like Tableau or Curator or whatever other platform to unite all of this stuff. Tell me that story. What encouraged that sort of change? And then you get a little bit closer and you say, so you're the primary person that uses this. Tell me the other people. Who are the people that control the data? Who are the people that contribute to the data? Maybe that's the end users. Who are the managers that maybe need to have a limited view of the thing that our CEO is seeing, perhaps? Are we sure we're asking the right questions? And then what are the things that led us to actually discovering these things?
And David, I want to comment for a second. We got a good question or comment in the chat that this process seems kind of water flowy, that it's more iterative. And I'm just curious if you could kind of comment towards that, because I think you and I have very much experienced this before.
Yeah, it absolutely is very iterative, and it can be very water flowy, if you will. Sometimes people come in with the end goal already visualized in their mind, and they're like, I know what I want it to look like, but I don't quite know how it's going to be built. I don't quite know the number of rooms that it needs. And then we also have people that come to us that are like, no, I actually know how many. I already have all the screens already finished. They just look kind of not great, and they're like, can you spruce it up a little bit? That happens all the time, and that's why we have some of the offerings that we put out there, so that we can target the areas that maybe certain clients might be facing than others. So it's not a one size fits all. It's where do you fit in this? And then we even have offerings that say like, all right, what if it's not a house that we're building? What if it's a library or a shopping center? That's the question that comes before this research phase of, am I even building the right type of thing? So yes, I mean, very iterative. And the reason we do this is so that we can go back to the UX phase before we end up going into development, where things get really expensive and really time consuming and really difficult. Like that's also, aside from like the financial gain from like not wasting people's time, it's just like, why not save people that mental stress of, yeah, figure it out. You got to build this house today, no plans. And same thing with being like, oh, go build this dashboard, no plans, just build it. We want to combat that, and we want to try to give a reason and a good plan behind everyone's dashboards.